Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so of course I'm very anxious right now and looking up situations in regards to the eviction process doesn't help, but at least I know I can ask for a stay of eviction if I lose my case. So if not, 5 days, and that's definitely something I'm not anywhere near prepared for. You know what really bothers me the most about my situation is that I really genuinely feel disabled right now. Like, I don't feel as if I'm strong enough to drive a vehicle or, even like move heavy machinery. Like, I genuinely think I'm too nervous of a person right now to do simple stuff. And my mind is so very intent on what's going on. And it's like I've been in a very deep denial, I guess, while being very hopeful and prayerful and careful to stay prayerful. And it's just, I'm very unready. And I'm okay with telling everybody that because y'all been watching me this whole time. And so I don't perceive people as haters like a lot of many do. I just perceive people as individuals watching and just carrying whatever they can from what it is that I'm saying along with them. But I want to provide some reality energy, rather not reality like, yeah, there's your problems, but more so just this is authentic. I've rocked myself to sleep all my life away from the world, comfortably living away from the world. Some of that was because of how I was raised. Others is just how I love to live based on that, I guess. But I really do have people out there that love me and that I love very much that I haven't seen in a very long time. And I have no path to them with what it is that I'm married to, which is me being in this house in this way. People that I love very, very much. So it's almost like if I'm going to be ripped from within this house to be reminded of how much I like fresh air, it may hurt a lot, but it has to get me out there to be where it is the Lord wants me to be. Because if it's up to me, I will stay here. Like, literally stay here and not stop this process at all. And I know that is comforting to me, but I know that also isn't overall what's best, nor is it going to get me anything that I ultimately want. And I'm uncomfortable and I'm scared, and the more I look at what it is that I need to do, the more I find fear and aloneness, I guess. And the reality is, all the things I do to escape it, I can't. I cannot do nothing but face it or run from it to you to talk about how I can't seem to face it. I'm in hell. But I love God and I love myself here. So I believe that I don't deserve to burn for long, I also love my team and that they're in the second round while all of this is happening. Feeling like I've helped in some small way with my intentions, even if I wasn't very constructive with my temper. I probably deserve this to some of them. Salute. But all in all, man, I'm standing in the face of something that my mother coddled me from, which is responsibilities, finite responsibilities without anyone to fall back on. And the reality that I did not do what I should have did leading up to this to give myself a slight chance. And it wasn't because I didn't know I should. It was because I was too scared to even to face it. Even if those solutions would help me give myself the best chance to defend against it. I think that's the very essence of being misguided in how you handle things. It's the very thing we talk about every day in our sports conversations about not doing. But I ain't got no team, man. I'm by myself and I'm scared as hell. Not because of what I'm facing, but because of how my brain just deals with pain. Coddles myself from any little stress. So any big stress is going to feel like I'm in war or something. And that weakness, I don't think it's to be carried. That lack of freedom, I don't think it's something that I should be asking others to respect necessarily at all. I want to overcome this and do away with it, no different than any other inner weakness. I don't want people to think that this is something I identify with, even if in some warped way I did. I want to change for the better. And I want to help influence others. And so when I feel these things and I do all this in a poor fashion, for what it is that helps the situation, I think the only good that can come of it is that I can display it in this way and say, yo, this is how I'm struggling. Hey, yo, look at this. Just if for no other reason than to stay consistent with what we've already been doing. That consistency is something that I think is a positive practice. Just like I feel like eating properly and doing exercise and all these other things, I just feel like this is what can help me keep from going into the darkest places in my heart and not finding a solution. And in reaching out to others, maybe I reach the right person. Maybe I leave enough of these videos here for people to say, yo, hey, this guy, he was onto a few things, and maybe we have a few things that can kind of push him along the way to turn him into the person he wants to become, so we can help others. Because that's really the words that come out of my mouth. And I hope that when I get to where I'm going, that will be the efforts that I lend my energy to, is helping others shine. I always pray about it, but it has to be in your heart to want that. And when I stay in isolation, coddling myself from every little pressure there is, I find myself being the weakest version of the man that I never, ever want to become, while simultaneously standing on something I believe in that AMC thing, simultaneously holding my team accountable like I got it all together on this Laker thing, even though I don't. And I'm okay with it, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm this person. I put forth all these hours into my playlist curation project. I feel like someone's going to listen to that one day, even if nobody even knows it's there right now. They're going to find out that thing it's what it is, you know? I'm not going to put a label on what I've created, but it's 700 playlists there almost. 6 years of work. And I had natural ability to start. So it's good. It's really, really good work. And so that's what it's like, man, I know what I'm leaving behind. But to what benefit can it be to me if I'm struggling all my life? And I've heard of artists like that, you know, and I'm just a new artist. I look at myself as someone who just developed myself in that way. But people who struggled all the way out. And it's like, God, I feel like I'm mirroring that. I don't want to be that. But I also don't want to exploit people and be exploited and be uncomfortable in my own anxieties. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I did everything wrong, truthfully, except for prayer and, you know, everything else that I did in this house that I'm proud of, that I've already stated. That stuff was right. But man, I could have paid them people some money. I knew that. There's no excuse for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have an excuse for why I didn't pay them anything. Because I was trying to hold my shares, but I was selling stuff to get my groceries, selling to get T-Mobile paid, selling to get my weed habit straightened out so I could cope with just living in isolation, as I chose to not work. And I chose not to work because I was anxious. My mind, I tell myself that I just didn't want to go back out there. And eventually, over time, as stuff kept happening, the car being repoed, and that anxiety that came with that, the T-Mobile thing, the anxiety that came with that, the various different things that I let make me so weak in this house while I was facing them in isolation without getting help, just made for me to get used to just being by myself and being so comfortable, not paying nobody nothing except for what I needed to eat. And I just knew that because I was praying to the God that I believed in, and because I was saying all these things that I believed in on this channel, these therapy sessions, and because I was seeing all the timing, different, frequent, various coincidences that made me feel like what I was doing was helpful to what it is that the Lord wanted me to do. And all these different things proved this to me. And so I thought it was going to be a favorable way it would go. I'm like, okay, well, I can keep on going. And you get to a point where it's like, you can't go on this way. You can't go on this way. But it's like when your mind tells you you can't move no other way, regardless of what it makes sense or not, you just going to stay put. And that's what I'm used to. That's what I was used to when I was a youngster. That's what I was used to as a little child. All the times that I needed to stay away from things, I just did. And I was enabled, however that word goes. I was not forced to not. And when I was told to not, I'd win the argument, so to speak. She would just get tired of arguing with me, my mother would. And I don't blame her. With a head like this, who wants to sit here and talk to a child to think like this? Trying to tell you why you couldn't do things that everybody else should be able to in a time when people didn't know anything about mental health, or why that would be something that you consider. It just made no sense to her. I was just a weak child. You're weak. And it's like, I got strengths. I got ideas that could change people's minds. I just need to be in a space where the trauma that I went through and the conditioning that I'm used to, you know what I'm saying, doesn't render me useless in the world I'm in. Thinking I'm entitled to not do things just because I don't want to do them. Thinking I'm entitled to walk away from things because they're bad for me for a time. It's like, I want to be strong in regards to not doing that, but at the same time, I want to choose the right paths because I ain't got a lot of time to have the energy to do this. So it's like, I do have works. I'm an artist. I'm a broadcaster. This is what I do. If I'm going to work, that's what I need to be working on. And so it's like, how do I turn myself into someone competent enough? How do I get myself back on my feet? You know what I'm saying? So that I can get this back going. And how do I want to? How does the person who was waiting for the big payday to come fall in his lap while he sits here and does the art doodling all day turn back into somebody who wants to even take those steps, especially starting from a place that's more disadvantaged than where I was when I started? When I moved in this neighborhood, I told myself I would never be over here without a car. I was so strong in my convictions that I let the car go because I knew that the squeeze was coming. Not because I believed it, because I know that the squeeze is coming, even now, because the banks are still falling. Guacamole. Don't you see them? They keep saving them left and right. Everything I told you was going to happen is happening, which tells me that my payday is actually due. It's not some fairy tale. It's not like I was waiting on Santa Claus to come down the damn chimney. No. This is actually still showing me right now that holding is not a bad investment. But nevertheless, my time ran out based on how I was moving, as I've told you guys in this 708th time in these therapy sessions. And I don't know that it feels unfair. I think what I'm trying to do now is condition myself to be cool with that, and then start looking back on times when I wasn't connected to being in my own house. Times when I would walk down Hollywood Boulevard for no reason, for hours on end with buddies of mine. Things that I would never do today because I'm too caught up in the house. I ain't afraid to be outside. I'm just afraid to be outside in this era of my life when I've gone through what I've gone through over the last 4 years, or maybe more years, considering my mom passing and my grandmother passing and all these other different things that have taken place, and the isolation that I've continued to get used to since, that wasn't in my life when I was doing all of that. New traumas that have come in my 30s as a result of how I've thought and how I've lived and all this stupid stuff, that you just allow for in life. When you don't get help for mental health circumstances that have plagued you all your life. And now I need help, but I need help in multiple areas, and I'm not used to doing nothing. Not so much as calling somebody to say, hey, can you turn back on my phone? Stuff like that makes me anxious. So now I got to go down to the courthouse and then find a way to get out of here in 5 days with none of these different resources. And the only people I can call are like people who may not be able to help me right now. I talked to my uncle. I don't think he's too eager to do nothing. Last time they talked to me, they forked some money my way. You know what I mean? And I didn't really call much after that. And it's like, what happened? Did you do anything we asked you to do? No. And it's like, why would I want to give you any more money to save you? Like, grandpa's going through what grandpa's doing. You ain't calling to see how he's doing. And it's so like, from his perspective, from my uncle's perspective, ain't no reason that this is just my misfit nephew in Los Angeles, of whom I don't know that well. Here he goes again with a sad sap story about how his mental health ain't no good and how he needs money to get out of a situation. We've helped him time and time again. He can't keep a job. What's wrong with this guy? You know what I mean? Like, that's his position. And it's like, that's fine. I literally get that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all he's ever seen. But unfortunately enough, like, there was legitimate stuff attached to my personality that had nothing to do with my intentions or my heart or my common sense or my intellect. And it's like, I've grown into this person I'm proud of, and it's like, I need a leg to stand on and some stuff, some mojo to get me to cope again, to love being outside in the sunshine again, to be okay with being in the presence of others, whether they're accepting of what I am or who I am or not. To just be okay with whatever is out there now and not be afraid of whatever the heck is there to be afraid of even. You know what I mean? To be the man that ultimately I was just 6 years ago. You know what I mean? Anxious, but not like this, man. Not to the point where I can't even bring myself to save myself. You know what I'm saying? To where I have myself married to something that ain't coming no time soon and need it to, and I'm just stuck and I can't get a job in my mind because of that. Like, that type of warped denial cage is where I'm at right now. And it's not going to be okay. You know what I mean? If I were to stay in this denial, I get ripped away from it. And the only thing it really serves is for very unique Facebook content. I am very much a person who stares at this camera saying, I really love myself. That's the funny thing about all this. I love myself, man. I love the BDF 44 character that I have on this thing with these Laker videos. I am a fan of my own work. That sounds very trash, but the point is I am having a blast. My art is getting better, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. When you do something 6,000 times, even if you suck at it, you're gonna get good at being bad. You're gonna find some continuity, and I'm starting to find some, man. I have a style. I would love for people to see this stuff. It's just sitting on a stack over here. It's absolutely insane how I've done this, and I know that's also part of the behavior patterns that I just can't shake, fam. I cannot shake some things that don't make sense, and that's why I identify as someone who just doesn't have it all together. And I don't. I isolate deeply from everybody for no reason other than my head just needs to be away from people, bro. And time on end, I am at absolute peace every day like this. And it is great. It's great. I love my life until I get disrupted. No matter how bad I have to adjust to being in this house, so long as I can just be here and be myself and talk to this camera and walk around this house free of any judgment, perception. See, the key is perception. As long as I think I'm alone, I'm fine. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, it's warped. And to be self-aware is unique. I do not have the freedom of doing this without seeing myself. And so it just gives me the ability to illustrate a very unique mind. And it's high time that I'm able to pay my rent. I want to pay these people. I want people to understand how devastated I am that I don't have the money to give them. Not just because I want to save myself or shelter myself, because this was not how this was supposed to go. I was supposed to really have it, and it's because I had it. I had it, but I held because I was real in this ape movement, and I knew that that's at that time, before all of these different things came about, that was really what it was about. We could not sell any shares. We needed to be so dedicated that even if things were to go left, we held the line, so to speak, because if we didn't, they would then just overtake the company and it would be run to zero. That was literally the case. But now the base is so strong that I don't know if that's still the case. But for those of us who've held this long, we know what we own is real or potentially real as opposed to synthetic. And because of it, they're more so important that we old guys keep ours held. But if that's the only money you got left, which is where I'm at, what can you do? And my greatest fear in this whole thing was that I'd waited all the way out and go through all of these different sacrifices. And God knows these sacrifices have been hard for me, y'all. With the skin and all this stuff that I've had to deal with, my digestive issues that I ain't even illustrate to save you guys the pleasure. All of these different things that I have gone through, not buying clothing, not going to see people, letting my car get repoed, and the anxiety that came with that is mentioned already. You know, just I've been through so much to hold these shares and to stay in my peaceful space so that I didn't turn into some raging maniac out there, like literally that, with my vehicle coming home just speeding because I was so miserable waiting for them shares and working that job that I really, really was having a hard time with. And inner demons that I was dealing with as well that were giving me hell during that same time, that I hadn't figured out through art and through further therapy sessions and further prayer that came about in this house. The prayer is the most confusing part. You have no idea. That list that I've prayed for, how many blessings I see be bestowed upon all of the people that I've prayed for. Health concerns disappear, babies' health concerns disappear, people's lives getting better since I started praying for them. I've seen so much blessings come to so many people that I pray for by name, so many consecutive days. Even now, some of them are doing great, much greater than when I started seeing them praying. Some of them babies started having more family. Their lives have expanded since I started this process. Their families have expanded since I started praying for these people. I'm telling you, this has been a phenomenal spiritual experience. And I get to this point where I'm the only one ain't doing well. And I'm happy with that to a degree, except for it really sucks being me, you know. But it's cool because it's like I can do so much. Like, and you know one thing I'm thankful for that has nothing to do with nothing? I don't have a drinking problem. I don't have a drinking problem. I think a lot of Americans in this situation, this is normal for us to be drinking right about now. A man this down and out in this way is drinking. It's liquor. I don't touch it, don't want it, don't have a need for it. And I am definitely thankful for that. But they ain't gonna do what we're talking about. The point is, I promised myself years ago I wouldn't be in this situation. As I've told you guys a story many times of me on the bus with the backpack full of food, Eggos, and I think ketchup and stuff that I was bringing back from the other place. I promised myself I'm gonna never let myself get evicted again, never let myself go through this. The only reason why I would ever walk back into those spaces is because the Lord put it in my heart. I'll say it's myself, but I prayed a lot about it, so whatever. It's because I thought I was doing something really good, man. Still do. I would have never betrayed myself for any other reason than to stand for something that meant something to me. I put myself in this space where I only have a little bit because I genuinely thought I was holding the line against sheer and utter corruption. Sheer and utter corruption is why I allowed myself to let my car go and all these different things. I really thought I was into something, and I still truly feel like this is worth it. It just sucks to go through it. And it sucks to not have the mind to just be piling more money on top of your situation so that you hold your shares without any problem. Because that's literally what everybody should be doing. I couldn't do that though, man. With my head, I needed to quit them jobs. I needed to be in this isolation. so I can create all this different dope stuff that I've created that only few of you know I actually can do. And when you see what I can do, you'll be like, oh, so that's where all his sanity is. It's in that creative juices. That's where all his ability is to do all the stuff that he should be doing in the world. It's in his ear. It's in his musical talent. That God gave me that and took away my common sense for worldly functioning stuff, processes and all that. It's just like I skipped all that. I don't want to do any of that. And it's partially because it requires you to be very social, very precise. Can't misspeak. Y'all know how I talk. I'll throw the whole meaning of something off and keep going. I do it at least twice a day. So it just makes for a self-consciousness that comes with that. It's like, oh, I make that mistake. Now I gotta deal with being that way in your eyes. And you know how my mind works. I'm seeing all different types of angles and stuff. They ain't even, you know what I'm saying? Overthinking it to no end my own perception as I look around the world I see. It works when you're making art. It works when you're putting together playlists. It works when you're just making these videos right here. It's so easy to be this way. I'm a creative all day long, man. But I don't think I've ever really cultivated that because of what I'm used to. You know? I find myself, I lay around a lot. I work out a lot, but I rest a lot. More than I need to for my desperation and my circumstance. A person like myself need to be working 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day. I grew up coddling comfortably in the household. Like, relax, play video games, go lay down. There's too much of that all my damn life, yo. And so one thing I'm looking forward to is, if nothing else, I gotta force myself to be that way at 38 years old with no energy. But still, it's like, it's a mental thing. If I can do 1,700 squats, you know what I'm saying, I'm pretty certain I could work something into my equation that needs to be done in regards to being better or whatever the hell needs to be done. But I'm telling y'all, if ever there's a prayer I want to pray right now, it's something that will push me in a position to not have to waste too much time in this low level when I've already put up so many hours in this house doing what I've done on this channel. My broadcasting stuff should be, I should at least feel confident in my skills to be able to get a job in this field. Something that's going to allow me to take what I've done here and make a coin out of it. The art itself, you guys know I don't want to sell none of that stuff. I honestly just want you guys to see it. I don't know, you know what I mean? If you want it, maybe I'll put a price tag on it if it makes sense. I'm not going to close the door. Obviously, it's just to be smart. But I genuinely feel very frivolously about stuff that I make like that. As much as the marketplace loves stuff like that, for me, I just you know, whatever. I'll play ball, whatever. But listen, man, I make art and it's just done strictly out of anxiety. It ain't. I love artists who really are passionate about it, and I'm not one of those people. But I do something that I'm proud of, and I would love for people to see it. That's really what it comes down to. But when it comes to that music, nah, I'm on the best. I'm on the best. When it comes to blending music, making playlists, I'm on the best. That's where all my real talent is. And I say that with a whole lot of confidence. After making these playlists, as many hours I put in, y'all don't know what's there. If you knew what was there, you would understand what I'm saying. I very much have a lot of confidence in that. I'm different there. For real. But when it comes to, you know, the speaking and the broadcasting, that just comes from my mom. You know, growing up in radio stations. Some of the earliest memories of my life was walking around radio stations. Walking in on people as they're broadcasting. You know, got a chance to meet Keith Overbin several times, even though I know people were upset at him for whatever the latest thing was. I forgot what it was. He did something some people didn't like, but I used to see that guy all the time, man. He and my mom were friendly, and he used to say hi to me and stuff. I was walking around KFWB, probably like 12, 11 years old. And so, like, some of the people at the Wave radio station out here, they did Smooth Jazz, pretty famous radio station out here. I used to walk around that place all the time when I was like 9 years old, 8 years old. I would actually answer their radio station phone because my mom was their receptionist for a little while. And so, like, she would literally have me answer the phone. Once in a blue moon when I'd sit there with her. Like, so stuff like that, broadcasting and speaking in the camera, that stuff easy to me, man. I grew up doing that. And being on stage and stuff, that I didn't have anxiety about being on stage a lot as a child because we did a lot of like little plays and stuff like that, which gave me the understanding of what rehearsal would be. You know what I mean? So I understood that kind of stuff. And obviously, I told y'all about the samba band that I excelled in, so I understood the repetition of rehearsal, which I can kind of apply to what I do today. So a lot of things I picked up along the way before I had all these anxieties, which is why I'm able to give you what I'm giving you. You know what I mean? I was out and about. My mother was very big on taking me to places so that I would experience certain things, so that I would understand how other lifestyles were. So like I went to Liberace's mansion as like a 3-year-old. I remember walking around that place as everybody walked around like these diamonds and beautiful, things that they were wearing and all of that. I was just walking around there in my little suit as a little kid. The only child in the whole building, probably. I don't think there was a single child there but me. Suit and tie affair. And it's like, she wanted me to experience that. She took me to various concerts, Janet Jackson concerts, Anita Baker concerts. My church was musically inclined. They had one of the best bands the West Coast at Maranatha. So a lot of that stuff was just in me naturally. I would get in the church choir and the school choir, So I was a trained little singer, I guess, as a little kid. So a lot of stuff is, growing up in Hollywood is just going to make you comfortable putting on the camera and talking about it. It ain't hard when you grew up in this environment that I did, where everybody's on camera, everybody trying to be a star, everybody's either made it or trying to make it or didn't make it. Even the people, the homeless folks that you meet have backgrounds where they were models, like literally, and actors and stuff, like people you meet on the street. So it's like, that's the environment I'm from. It's nothing for me to think of myself as someone who could like move the needle as it pertains to my own content. I was born to believe that I had that naturally in a lot of different areas. And so as I get the help that I'm ultimately going to get, instead of going towards security and different stuff because I wasn't established in any way, now I want to push my life in a direction that allows me to do this and make pay that way. And hopefully I can do good things with my money just like everybody else who has good intentions to get money. But I can't live my life not getting money anymore. It just sucks, man. Being broke, as everyone knows, is no way to help others, man. And I have a big heart and I need to do big things. In order to help them, I'm going to need some investors. And so I need to get in the game in that way. I may have said some things that pissed some people off, but I got to get in the game, man. I'm just telling people right now, I don't have a choice. And I don't want to go back to the life I was in, because if I do, I'm going to hate it, man. I'm going to hate it to no end. So that's really what it is. Pray for everybody. If you do, it'll land on me. And best believe those prayers are needed, because big changes are needed, and they got to come from me. And I don't know where I'm going to be very soon. It looks like I'm going to be out of here sooner than I would ever imagine. But I'm still very hopeful that some major miracle will happen, because what I want people to understand about this apartment is if you didn't already know, this came to me as a miracle. It came to me as a miracle. I was in a very tough spot. My mother had just passed. And the story goes, if you hadn't heard it already, I ended up getting it the day that I needed it the most. Bottom line is, I was about to be homeless that day, and I checked my email and found that they had given me the understanding that they were going to allow me an opportunity, since the person who was going to get this apartment had dropped out. So as they did, I was able, with the fact that I had my vehicle at the time, drive down there, take them the paperwork they needed, and the same day I was able to move in. That day I was supposed to be moving all of my stuff to storage and be living in my car. And so it's like, I wanted to end this relationship with honor to that. Not relationship, but the relationship I have with the company. But throughout the course of living here, I really went through a lot of isolated moments. I just stayed alone, just like I had always stayed alone. And that just built the worst communication desires within me. I didn't want to communicate with them because it stressed me out to do so. I paid my bills, all that stuff, so it wasn't no problem. But when I couldn't pay it no more, telling them that and telling them why, even when I had the money, I was so like, I ain't selling no shares at that time. It was like, nah, we up in the air, and I don't care. I can't, because we're obviously headed upwards. So why would I sell now? And so it just made all the sense in the world not to sell when it was really high. anything. Even though I ended up selling a lot anyway as we got later on down the road. But it was like I couldn't see that. At that time, I couldn't see that. So for me, it was just prayer. Prayer allowed me to just stay in spaces that allowed for me to think that what I was doing was cool, honestly. And I'm not blaming prayer, but it was just like the Lord was in my head in a way, or so I perceived it, kind of telling me to hold my shares, stay put, stay doing what I was doing. And I think, even though I don't like where I'm at today, when I look at all that is here, those therapy sessions, and as I told you leading up to all of this, a lot of that stuff just couldn't be done. They would have never been done. They would have never been done in that way if I would have been taking care of business all this time the way that I knew I should, working hard, going out, being present in various different things. If I lived that way, those conversations would have never been had. And some of those conversations I think were extremely important in the grand scheme of things when it's time for me to leave behind my life. I'd like to think this channel somewhere exists and some of these videos will be stuck in the cloud somewhere with a lot of gems, including this one, this very video here. So it's like, ma'am, who's ever on the other end of this, I'm really confused about how I should view myself. Because like I said, I love myself and I'm in a space where I'm happy with who I've become in this artistic way and all these different things. But I got something in front of me that's going to rip me out of my apartment and possibly put me in a position where I have to live with someone else for the first time since before my mother passed, many years before my mother passed. I am in a loner. I don't know how to live with nobody else. And so it's just so much anxiety, so much fear, so much anxiousness, so much uncertainty that otherwise is here, if not for the comfort of talking to you guys right now. Comfort. Just talking about how my mother used to expose me to different places and events that otherwise there was no anxiety. Even when I had just gone through what otherwise was really trauma for me. Because of course, when I look back on that event, and that the great horrible event, I also look back when I was at Liberace's and realized that was like maybe a year later. Maybe 80, not even. Because I was 3 at the Liberace mansion. And that situation happened when I was 2. So it's like, I didn't always have anxieties about being out around people. And it wasn't long after those things happened where I was able to smile and have fun. Because I was in a world where the only place that was hell was that place that the trauma took place. Otherwise, my mother was creating a world that I was coddled in happiness and love and acceptance and peace and constant hugs and all of these different very, very loving energies that are applied to someone when they have their child, But in a way for me that just made me dependent upon that energy, and then therefore growing up spoiled and entitled to a degree that I could live in spaces that are meant to make me happy, regardless of whatever else, And it just it's not good for me. And it doesn't really work. And in the long run, if you get used to that, you're just going to find yourself traumatized by being ripped from it. And so I asked for leniency, hopefully from the court, in regards to my mindset, but more so in understanding that, I'm alone. And I've never not been alone. And because of it, I've always been used to doing things the way that doesn't bring about the best results. You need a team to kind of make certain things work, and I didn't have one. Didn't give myself one, didn't allow for one. And so now I need that help. I need that team. And I don't know where it's coming from. So if they kick me out of here in 5 days, I ain't gonna be able to put that team together potentially. And I'm just gonna have to walk outside and figure out who wants to help me. And that's the reality of the situation. And there's a lot of things here that matter a lot to me, but I've been praying a lot about letting things go. You know what I mean? And some of the stuff, as I've said earlier, I might have said it on camera, but I was thinking earlier, a lot of stuff I can let go of. I would, if I had the bag, I'd just let go of that stuff. But some of this stuff, I really haven't thought about letting go of because I've still been such a deep denial about keeping put. Staying put. So I knew I didn't want to stay here forever, but I was just hoping the squeeze would give me the money to get me up and out of here. And I could pay them this, that, and the third, pay these people that, this, and the third, and then go on to a place where I would ultimately get my mind and body right with the right amount of money and resources that could take care of the best care. Stay there or not, you know what I mean? Figure it out. And if they're going on a journey that doesn't require me to struggle to get by, and thus maybe make me not want to, walk away from the earth and all the different potential things that could happen in my life, for which I don't want to do. I have no interest in doing it in this moment at all, but it's just the overall stress of it all and the fatigue that makes you think so down. But that's not really where I'm at all. If anything, I took from my uncle yesterday, just like I told you guys, and it said, when you have these feelings of depression, you got to match them with praise, because you only got this far because of the prayer. So as I said, I want to apply my faith in different ways, but I just want to be able to overcome my anxiety and not be frustrated with it while doing so, and I just haven't gotten there just yet. I'm still stuck in denial. I still think the squeeze could come tomorrow to save me. I still kind of feel like I ain't left this house, because I haven't. I'm in that long stretch where the last time I left the house, was, what was it? The last time I went to the courtroom. You know what I mean? So when you're still in it, it's like, the day is still here. I'm still, let's watch some more basketball. And you're still in that until you realize that like 24 hours from now, they can hit you with like 5 days from now, you could be like gone. And you got to figure that out. And it's like with my brain, I'm like, all I got is anxiety, man. I don't have nothing for you. I don't know what to do. I literally don't know what to do. And I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me, because that's weakness. I don't even respect it. But at the same time, it's like, that's real shit. Like, I don't really know what to do. And that's the part that really, really is in need of change. I'm a fearless person in some very key areas, but not as it pertains to various things I need to not be fearless of. But at the same time, when I'm left without, like if I'm told to walk outside and just figure it out, for some reason I think I'd figure it out without too much fear. It's just the things that I worry about losing that ultimately make me anxious. But once it's gone, it's like, well, damn, it's gone. All right, let's move around. Like when I had to accept the fact that I was going to have to live in the car that day, I wasn't really anxious about it, because I was like, I got a plan for this, I got a plan for that, and I got the car. Now, of course, in my mind, it's been like 7 years. I have a much greater understanding of the dangers that were actually in front of me if I really were to live that way than I did back then. For some reason, I had learned some things since. It's like, you don't want to do what I was going to have to do. But like, even then, I didn't want to do it. I just wasn't afraid. And so now it's like, okay, but it wasn't supposed to go this way. It's not that I didn't see it could go this way. I just thought God wouldn't let it. That's the problem. And so it's like, all right, I ain't the first person he let it. You know what I mean? Shoot, people suffer, bro. And a lot of people have common sense to not ever let it happen. And for me, it's like, well, if I look back and see all the things I did and I'm proud of what they were, and I knew I couldn't do them unless I did them that way, then let's just move forward. If it's going to be hard, cool, it was worth it, and this is what I paid for. This is what I paid for. The ability to be a Laker analyst for a whole year without worrying about nothing. The ability to make these playlists as I did without worrying about them. The ability to cope with myself and find these prayers I did, 6,000 art, whatever I did. That's what I'm paying for. So now that I go back out there and scrape my knees out there and whatever glass I got to scrape my knees out there for, I know why I did it. Because I was doing something I really believed in while I tried to turn myself into somebody I really believed in, and I just ran out of time. Unemployment didn't give me nothing. I was too chicken crap to get my head checked so that I could get the disability that may or may not come, because I was afraid of being rejected of disability, just like I was rejected for unemployment, just like I was rejected in some other areas, different things I applied for. So the fear of not getting it and not having no other hope kept me from ever utilizing that one last hope that I perceived was the only last hope. You see what I'm saying? Just poor perception, poor utilization of what resources could be available, poor communication with people who could otherwise understand or care. Flawed, man. I'm just thankful the Lord gave me the common sense to not have nobody else be dragged into this nonsense, not to have no kids, not to have. I'm fortunate that the Lord at least made me a decent enough human being not to lie to nobody and drag them into my nonsense to save me. And I don't want to, and ain't gonna have to, because this channel's gonna make sure that the cap would never really hold up anyway. I don't know what to say for myself other than I'm proud that I was able to get all this out in this channel, and I'm still nowhere near getting what I need, but I've watched God do so many different things, so we're going to watch and see what he does here. But I'm proud of what I've accomplished within the confines of my confusion. And what I was standing on in AMC, I still believe in. And something great could happen in the midst of all this struggle as I'm sitting here waiting. It could happen. But since it hasn't happened and I didn't plan for it, I'm really, really, really in trouble. But I got a God that loves me, man. Even if I'm not sure who else does, and I know that some may, I just don't really know what the heck is up and down anymore right now, especially with my anxiety being as it is. But all in all, I love myself, man. I really do. I am in the first place that feels this way maybe ever in my life going through this type of pain. Never. I was always angry at me, confused about me, not very accomplished, not having a whole lot to show for myself. That is not where I'm at. That ain't where we at. Even if it all goes away, I know what I did. And I know because I've done it, I can do better now. That's what the practice has done. And so it's like, yo, I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know who perceives me as deadbeat based on who's watching me struggle so much. But if they watch this channel, if they really watch these therapy sessions like I hope you all have, then you would have a much better understanding of the heart that's inside there, that I have beaten in my chest, that's much deeper than these anxieties and these weak fears and these childish conditions of the mind and entitlement, spoiled nature, all these different things about myself that I know I can overcome. I know I can because I've done other things. Already said to show me I can start good processes. And I'm determined, man. So the fear can only last but so long because the praise is in place as well. So as I go through these different ebbs and flows, I just continue to survive because this is the war at hand. Some days I want to say, I don't want to be here. And other days I say, I love myself and I'm strong. But at the end of the day, I love myself and I'm strong. It's a bit stronger. I just hope that the next trauma doesn't send me into a deeper place where I'm less likely to react properly. And I just hope I'm strong enough to finally stop this process of not having the help. At 38, I haven't gotten help yet, but I can now. I can. And I pray to God that you help me do so that we can stop this process, so that I don't see myself as someone who hasn't gotten help at 43 or 47, or if I live that long. See what I'm saying? That's where the wisdom's at. Stop this process if you haven't gotten help yet. Don't keep going that way. That's what I say to myself. I got to find a way to get that help, man. I know I need it. Not just because of the stuff I perceive, because of other stuff too that I probably don't even see within myself. This complicated brain. I don't know if they're going to give me disability. That's what I'm afraid of. I don't know if they're going to want to give me Zoloft. That's what I'm afraid of. You know, whatever the hell the different medication would be, man. Point is, I just don't want any of the stuff I don't want, and I want everything that I need from psychological help. And I don't know nothing about nothing as it pertains to going into this situation, and I'm scared, man. Trash mentality, scared, fearful, but nevertheless honest. The only way I'm gonna get strength is to be truthful about these fears and these anxieties, and they do not come without merit. Because I've rocked myself into this weakness, and I'm going to get myself out of it with your help. Continuing to be on the other end of this thing with the comfort that you provide just by being yourself. So that's what I got to say, man. God bless you all. Thank you all for allowing me to be myself. Thank you all for doing what you do. I don't ask that people don't judge me. I don't think that's realistic. I just ask that people be themselves and you know, Understand that my intention here is to help me and others while I'm exposing myself to be this guy. And if I didn't perceive myself as capable or talented, then I wouldn't have as much confidence to do this. It's that cockiness inside of me in that way that makes me feel like anybody would even care to listen to this crap. But even if they didn't, I needed to leave it here because it couldn't stay inside, man. Constructive stress relief. I'm going to end us with a prayer on this one. And I hope that if your faith isn't with mine in the same prayers, that you understand that I have often prayed prayers that would align with others who don't pray like me. So you're welcome here. Heavenly Father, I welcome everybody who prays differently as well as those who believe in you, because I know that you brought everyone around you for circumstances such as these. I'm going through something, and the natural inclination, and from what I've been taught, is to pray for self. Give me what I need. Give me what's best for me. God, give me mine. Get me out of my situation. But I created this situation because I thought I was listening to you. So you've brought me back to you in regards to getting me out of the situation. And as I've told everybody, this was a miracle getting this thing. This apartment was impossible the way it happened. So that it is possible that I say a prayer like this at the end of a video like this, I think it's apropos. Holy Spirit, anybody, and I mean anybody who's going through anxiety, anybody who's going through any hiding of any kind, something, or their children or their family members or their mothers or sisters, if they can relate to any mental health concerns or any home related concerns, whether it be having to do with not having one or circumstances that have to do with being in their home with someone else or domestic circumstances, dogs not healthy, whatever going on in the house, man. I don't want to exclude nothing. I want to rope in those who feel excluded, those kids who want to pick up a gun and shoot somebody because they don't feel like nobody hear them no more. I can't hear you either, man. But I don't think they hear me. You feel me? I don't think they hear me. I'm roping you into this prayer too, because I want the Lord to make sure that everybody gets a little bit of this. I want those who feel like they're going to snap. Those who don't have nothing left because their demons are so dark and their heart is hidden behind the pain of their circumstances. I want those who are so roped up in their own life till they can't even see anything else worth anything other than what it is they're going after. I want those who have the heaviest ambition in their heart to be roped into this prayer, because this is for them too. Those who can't bring themselves to do nothing. The dude that's stuck in the bed and he's just so sick mentally or physically that there's nothing left to do but give you what he has, God, whatever their reality is. I'm roping them into this prayer because I need a lot. So I'm praying for a lot. I'm asking that you give them not only a gift of a divine nature of your choosing, which is meaning whatever you want them to have that would be best for them in the timing that's best for them. But I also ask that you give them some way to heal with what it is that's coming at them. If it's anxiety, provide comfort. If it's pain, provide relief. If it's stress, get rid of it. If it's antagonist, bring an end to that circumstance. If it's inner anger or heart cold, whatever it may be, I ask that you bring them the compassion that will allow them to become the person that will ultimately allow for the right energy to be received. If they have bad culture in their hearts that they believe that's bringing them the wrong result, help them undo that. If they're in deep denial or they have brain trauma, as we've already mentioned, or people who have confusion that doesn't have anything to do with anything rational, I ask that you speak to them in their language and reach them as only you can. And make it make sense to them that you have will and wishes for them outside of the destruction of whatever it is they're trying to destroy. I ask that you put us all in a position to just not do more damage than we wanted to do when we were angry at whatever, or reacting to whatever, or faced with whatever and had no choice. I ask that you help us see the fullness of what it is we're involved in, or otherwise are not involved in, with our neglect as we react emotionally or without emotion, respectively, whatever would apply, Father. I want you to be present so that we can have healing a part of what we're doing, so that we can put forth building in regards to what we're doing, so that we can put forth a way to end unnecessary trauma. And I don't know what would be necessary, but I open my heart and open my mind in this prayer so that it can rope up anyone who would need it. For those who are sick, may bring forth healing. For those who are bereaved, bring forth healing. For those who are concerned because they need to now be faced with their own circumstances that may have to require for new change, Father, I ask that you make it so that that change be something that they are able to experience organically. Give them what is best for their energy so that they can transition through this process with you attached to them, and whatever their circumstances may be settled. This is what I ask, Father. I ask this because I too need these circumstances and feel no peace in asking for them alone, when I know so many people go through so much, and on days when I'm not feeling nothing like this, I may not think to pray for them so strongly. So this is the opportunity I have to do it when my situation is tough and I'm feeling it the worst. I know that someone else is going through something worse and they got to find their way through it just like I do. And maybe they love enough to pray for someone like me, and maybe I benefit from that prayer. That's what it is that I'm hoping to do here. Make it so that someone who needs this prayer can benefit from it. If nobody else in their life is praying for them, if ain't nobody else believing God around them, they need a miracle right now. And this is what the energy I have for them is. Whatever that miracle is, whatever they squeeze would be, whatever that perfect moment would be that saved them from the worst of their circumstances, or whatever would help them deal with the worst of their circumstances, or fight back, or whatever, give them the strength to walk away or to walk toward or stay put, whatever it would be. I ask that you give them not only the strength, but mold the environment itself so that they can be accepted in their choice to go toward you and whatever it is that they do. Sometimes what's right ain't right for the team. What's right ain't right for the environment. What's right ain't right for everybody. But Father, if you can just slip in there and take the confusion away and make what's right for the circumstance, that's the prayer I have, that you would provide for these people. For myself included as well, if it applies in any way. I come to you with this prayer because I'm a believer deeply in you, and that's what drove me to this circumstance that I feel I'm getting right here, along with other things that are maybe flawed about my personality. But nevertheless, it was the belief that you would come through and save me, so that you are saving me by way of these words. Maybe not in the way that I thought. Just like my friend KT told me in regards to her circumstance, maybe her, your plans was greater than her plans. Your plan is greater than my plan, but that your plans be in place is what I ask for all of these people that I pray for in this prayer. That it not be somebody else's timing or some other force driving us away from your perfect plan for the betterment of what we have going on in our various lives. And whatever would otherwise pull us away from your peace, away from your love, away from your compassion, away from your wisdom, your infinite wisdom, away from the understanding of what you otherwise want for us and for us to be doing. I ask that you pull us away from anything that will pull us away from you, and bring us toward the peace that eludes us. Bring us toward the relief that eludes us. Bring us toward the help that eludes us, or being the help that others need. Give us the strength to say yes to what needs to be said yes to, or no, definitely no if we need to. Give us the strength to defeat what is coming against us, if that's what's coming against us. And if it's nothing at all, help us see through the fog so that we can be at ease and not hurt anything in our paranoia. I ask that you put us in a position to see clearly, have our instincts work for us, and help us settle in the circumstances of things that we need to accept so that we can be loving entities to ourselves as we search for whatever it is that we're looking for. And may that reverberate across how we treat others. And may that reverberate across how we love you. I say this because I believe in you, Father, and I know many others pray in different ways, but I come to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, God, for allowing me to do that. I never did that before, not in that way. But the times like this, man, when you're in your darkest hour, what else is there to do? I don't want to just pray for me, though. I want to pray for all of you, because that's where I really get my power, man. It's from a belief in God doing something for everyone, not just myself, because I'm a selfish person. I try to cope with only me all my life. And one thing I've learned is that is not right for me. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching.